Hi, my name is Karin Wiener. I work at the New Wheel in San Francisco, Marin, and Oakland. And here we are. It's 2022.
Wait,
I'm
Oakland?
joined. What?
What?
This is Matt. We're going to be talking today about the Orbea Rise. Quick disclaimer, I had knee surgery. Big bummer, I haven't been on a bike since. I see it as an opportunity, really, to be in your shoes. I haven't ridden this bike yet shoes. Matt, though, has ridden this bike.
I have ridden this bike.
So you're gonna give us the experience.
The Rise ride?
The Rise ride,
Sure,
tell
sure.
me. So.
It's pretty magical, actually. The bike itself just disappears as an e-bike. No, when you turn it into like the first level assistance, the green eco mode, the response from the motor is instantaneous to your input. So it's just, you push, you know, that classic why we like torque sensors, right? It's you push down on it, it gives you proportionate response. With this bike, that proportionate response, that power curve is so discrete and so intuitive and natural feeling that it doesn't feel like you're riding an e-bike, which sounds really weird and like not something you want in an e-bike, right? You want that power, you know, you want to feel that motor, you want to hear that woo, you know, the whole thing. You put this up into the higher levels of assist, it maintains that same feeling, which is, I think, just with what Shimano and Orbea has worked on with this RS system, it's just hands down the smoothest thing I've ever ridden. The first thing I try with the new motor system is I try to make it act wrong or weird, right?
Yeah.
You want to test for things in the software and then the response that are going to make it feel not amazing. I couldn't get that to happen with this bike.
So explain to me, because this is something that I experience really frequently on e-bikes. When you crest a hill, how does this bike handle that? What are you experiencing?
It just kind of just rolls you up.
Huh.
It doesn't shoot forward.
So you don't get the herky jerk right at the top?
You don't get any herky jerk at all. But then, you know, you make those little moves on your pedals when you're riding on a trail, you know, these little kicks or you're always constantly kind of changing your speed and your pressure on your pedals to maneuver through different obstacles and all these things. It was right there with me the whole time.
When you look at this bike, when I look at just the specs of what it is, it fits a dream e-bike, mountain bike experience in a lot of ways, right? No distractions, no console, very, very low impact in terms of just the aesthetic of the motor and the battery, the handling that you're describing, no auditory experience, as much power as you need without too much power.
It's definitely one I would go home and talk about wanting to buy.
Can you do the thing where you shift to a really easy gear and just escalator up the hill?
Oh yeah, that.
Can you do that on this bike?
Oh yeah. It doesn't feel like there's a distinct break from you and the motor. It just feels like you are the one in control the entire time. Feeling kind of, for me, continues on to the touch points. And we need to find a word for the visual space that the handlebars take up in your riding field of view, right? What do you have here distracting you from your ride? You know, and with this bike,
Nothing?
nothing. Two little LEDs.
Okay, anxious, panctious over here. How do I know how much range I have?
Two ways.
Okay.
The LED will go down in color, so green, orange, red.
Okay.
Or you can just pull out your phone, connect to the bike right away, and you'll get any and all information you'd like about it. Let's just say, you know, you're out in the middle of a ride and you're kind of like, boy, I'm a lot more tired than I thought I was. You can pull out your phone and you can go to RS2, which is a different tune. So the RS tune is two different tunes. There's 1 and 2. One is sort of efficiency and one is power. So you can just change it on the fly. Or you can just say, God, I just want to this response here when I'm in full boost is just a little bit too much. You just dial it down, put your phone away, and go ride, you know, keep riding. So you can just focus on the trail and look where you need to ride. Because if you're not, you need to look where you want to go, not where you don't want to go.
That's how you ride a bike. Do that. That's good. Really good point.
That's good advice. For anyone just starting out, look where you want to go, because if you look where you don't want to go, you're going to go right there.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, you can get a Garmin display, you can get Shimano display, you can put all sorts of different displays, so you can have a ton of data. You can put your phone on the handlebars, run the Shimano Ride app, and you can get all the information you want. So,
I have to say, I love where the power button is.
I do too.
I don't know
right?
why I love it so much. It's like the little belly button or something.
Yeah.
It's cute.
It's got such a good click too. You know, there's a lot of intention with this bike. It feels like they...
What do you notice?
Well, I think the biggest thing I notice is just with dual suspension, multi-link bikes, you have these pivot points back here, right? Mm-hmm. They make the rear axle and the rear pivot one piece, and it just is a really clean, elegant way to do something. Mm-hmm. But it also does another thing, is it makes it a little bit stiffer. And I think that's part of why this bike is so successful, is that just something very simple like this, which is probably very difficult to manufacture and make and design and get right, makes all the difference for this bike. Because when you are going around a corner and you're really pushing it hard, the rear end is doing what you want it to do.
At the New Wheel, we've been buying and selling electric bikes for 12 years. And one of the things that we have really learned is how important our partner brands are, who we buy things from. Orbea, I'm excited about because this is a new can of worms for us. Orbea is a member of the Mondragon, which is the biggest worker-owned cooperative in the world. It's a worker-owned cooperative in northern Spain where the food is really good, the economics are very complicated, and they have been so for a long time. And the Mondragon was established in the beginning of the 20th century by a priest and his students to build space heaters, and they've grown, and now they do all sorts of things. So here's why this matters. Let's take ourselves back to 2008. There was a financial crisis, and the way they made the decision about what to do was that they had a worker vote. There was the option to cut jobs or to cut wages. And they voted to reduce wages, and what happened is everybody kept their jobs. And this is in a context in northern Spain where a lot of people lost their jobs. So this completely changes the culture and the meaning of the company and introduces a level of creativity in everything they do. It's like this whole frame thing you're telling me about. They build and design these frames in Europe. I mean, there's all sorts of things that makes me really excited about bringing Orbea into the New Wheel fold, because I think, like, culturally, they're never making choices just for the bottom line, right? They're making choices for humans. So I think it's really cool. I can't wait to get to know them more. I can't wait until I can, like, go to Spain and actually get to know them.
So that way of being as a business, as an entity, as a worker collective, kind of leads to an exciting aspect of this bike, which is the My-O project. So My Orbea project.
Thank you.
And what this means is you can kind of make your own bike. You can change colors, you can choose logo colors, frame panel colors, you can go into componentry, and you can really decide what you want your bike to be like.
So they're basically not trying to cut labor. They're trying to organizationally create more jobs. That's what that sounds like to me.
They're creating more jobs, they're also creating more choice.
This bike's standover height is phenomenal. Speaking from the perspective of a 5-foot tall person who can never touch the ground on both sides of small mountain bikes, this bike is the jam. So that's really important. That's important as far as just riding the bike. And it's got 29-inch wheels.
I was going to say, that's...
Hold the phone. This is crazy, right? So what that means is that the ride is going to be smooth, plush, you're going to roll over things really nicely, and you don't have to have the frame up your crotch, which is super important for those of us who are short. And it just so happens there's a lot of short people out there, right? So that gets us into the parts. 29-inch wheels, super cool. Suspension clearly at the front and rear of the bike, and we've talked a little bit about the suspension design, and the mechanic likes it, so I like it.
And one thing I didn't mention about this with the 29-inch wheel is the bottom bracket height on this bike You get the low standover like you're talking about, and you get the bottom bracket height. So it means that you're going to be able to pedal through chunkier stuff without hitting your pedals as much.
Okay, translate chunkier stuff. Bumps.
Big rocks.
Big rocks.
Roots.
Yeah.
Ruts.
Chunky stuff.
Chunky stuff.
Got it. Then you've also got dropper seat post for smooth and elegant ascents and descents. There's an internal battery and there's an additional external battery.
Yeah.
And the way I think about that is like, if you just hop on this bike and go out on a couple hours, you can easily ride 2 to 3 hours just the way the bike is.
Right.
Or if you want to go have like an all-day adventure, you put the extra power pack on. You have up to 652 watt hours, which is a lot. And you can ride all day. So you kind of have your have your cake and eat it too bike here.
That's what I love about this new idea in e-bikes, where they have a smaller internal battery and then you can add range extenders as needed, because most of the time you're only going out for a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours. You know, with the internal battery, about a 4-hour ride, a couple thousand feet of elevation, you know, up to the top of Mount Tam and back down, no problem. Really flexible and interesting.
So there are 2 frame versions of this bike.
Right.
There's a carbon frame and an aluminum frame.
Right.
Let's talk about the difference.
It's the same design suspension-wise. The part spec you get on all those bikes they're really good parts for even aluminum is a little bit less expensive. The frame is actually made in Portugal and assembled in Spain.
That's
so
unusual.
It's a fully, it's crazy. And so, you know, you're looking at a slightly heavier bike there, a larger battery. You know, it's just a little bit over 500 watt-hour battery in the aluminum bike.
Very interesting hidden facts on this bike is that it actually uses a different battery cell. So most e-bikes use a 18650 cell, and this uses a new, more energy-dense cell by Tesla, our friends down the street, and Panasonic, that is actually longer and more energy dense, and that's how they do this.
Correct, and it makes the battery last a lot longer because it does have the charge cycles are further apart, so you can have more charge cycles on it as well.
I feel a little bit like a broken record because test riding is the center of the DNA of the new wheel. But after hearing you talk about this bike, I personally am so excited to try it because I think I'm going to have a new e-bike experience.
It exists in its own world outside of any other bike out there.
We have stores in Larkspur, San Francisco, and a new store in Oakland this year. This bike is on the floor to demo, so please stop by and take a test ride. We'll look forward to seeing you soon.